IT areas are pushing for this digital transformation, but they have to understand that it has to start with the customer. You cannot start with the technology. You have to start with the customer.
Customer experience wisdom, a dash of travel talk. We've been cleared for takeoff.
The best meals are served outside and require a passport.
Welcome to CX Passport, y'all. Today, I am thrilled to have our very first guest from Guatemala, Enrique Saenz. Y'all know how much I want to fill the global map with guests and get their unique perspectives. And today, we finally get to fill Guatemala. Enrique is the founder and CEO of PercepcionesCX, a consultancy dedicated to transforming customer experiences in Latin America. With over 25 years of experience in marketing, sales, and customer experience management, Enrique knows how to drive innovation and create customer-centric strategies. He's a Bain certified CX and NPS practitioner and was a key figure in driving the CXPA Latin America Regional Council forward earlier this decade. Enrique's work spans multiple industries, from banking to hospitality, where he leverages technology and data to deepen customer relationships and boost loyalty. While I've been to a few countries in Central America, unfortunately, I haven't made it to Guatemala yet. Today, I'm happy to experience it vicariously through Enrique, and I know you will enjoy it today too. Enrique, welcome to CX Passport.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's always nice to talk about CX.
Yes, it is. And it's doubly nice for me to be able to talk about CX with someone in a country I have not had the chance to experience before. Well, Enrique, let's start with CX. What got you started in the world of customer experience? How did that become where you chose to focus?
Well, I think it's not just one answer or one point in my life that got me to CX, but I can tell you that since my high school years, I used to be very passionate about brands. I used to have this white T-shirt, and I used to draw the brands, in the T-shirt.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of was passionate about sports brands also, but it always intrigued me what made these great brands, so big, and so powerful. Uh, that has changed a lot recently, but it always impressed me. How can they be all over the world, and how can people prefer them over other brands? And so it was the power of the brand. And I used to work in advertising, and we used to work on branding strategy, and also manage brand equity. So that was very, very important in my early in my career. I also, besides trying to understand the strategies behind these brands, um, I'm also very analytic person. So I like to extract information from data. And previously, before all this technology boom, I used to work with large databases in Excel, trying to figure out what is going on in, making these dynamic tables and trying to see what's going on in the sales and what customers are buying and how long have they been buying. So that was something that I really got into, hours and hours of trying to analyze and trying to find, key data and key insights that would allow me to increase sales or make better decisions. So that is also important in my life, and I consider myself being very, very analytic.
Right.
And in 2008, I partnered with one of my best high school friends, and we started offering customer satisfaction measurement services through these digital instruments, that were kind of fading out because the technology was starting of the mobile phones and also the tablets. But it was a very rustic tool, but it was very innovative for the year. So we started offering that, and people liked it. I can capture information from the point of sale, mainly retail and also restaurant. Everything that needed to be captured in the point of sale. And we started offering that some people told us, that but the technology is not that good because you had this big big tablet, almost like tablets, but you didn't have any light. You had a modem, one of those modems that remember it sounded like shh, when you
Yeah.
connected them to the
I
to the
may add the
phone line.
modem dial-up sound to the episode. We'll see what happens in
Yeah.
post-production.
So it was very rustic, and you still had to connect the device to the computer to download the survey
Yeah.
and then to download the data. So it was very, and technology was going so fast, that it had been changing. But I really saw an interest in people doing this, and then I started, contacting some companies in the U.S. that were really pioneers in this area, and um, from there, I think almost it exploded. Everything exploded with the,
Hmm.
the Wi-Fi and the tablets and the smartphones. But we also offered some mystery shopping services and measurement. The these mystery shopping services, and I think that's when it all started. But later in 2014, I came across the Ultimate Question 2.0 book,
Okay.
and
Right.
I read it, and it was just I don't know, it just made sense to me how companies need to focus on a larger purpose than just selling, and making money. And also the NPS being, such an analytical tool and something that really is based on hard data, that you can really learn about loyalty through the measurement of the NPS. So I
Hmm.
think all of that is what made me go into the CX. In 2016, I also between 2014 and 2016, I also started listening a lot about CX in internet, and I also came across some companies, consulting companies in Europe that were really advanced, and pushing for these services in Latin America. So that's also how I learned a little bit about what
Yeah.
CX management is about.
There's a lot to that, and a couple of themes that I heard in there was some of your core, like you talked about. I love the data, the analytics, that aspect of it. How that is a foundational piece that is so important to the success of customer experience. And there was the element of technology, right? Even the theme that was in my head there was, okay, so maybe the technology wasn't the most modern compared to today or even at the time then, but it was something. You got started, the company got started. And I think a lot of companies think, all right, well, I got to have the fanciest tool. I got to have the best initiative. I got to do that. Where sometimes it's just a matter of, can you just get started and listen to the customer and then do something about what you've heard from the customer. Do you find, I'm curious about customer experience in general in Latin America, given that background that you're describing, just today, for someone like me who doesn't practice in that region and others that are listening, how would you describe the current state of customer experience in Latin America in general and then Guatemala specifically?
Well, I think CX has really advanced in Latin America. You know, we're so close to the US, and we are very influenced by the US and by Europe, because we've always been, laggards in innovation. So everything that is, generating a boom or generating interest in the US or in Europe eventually comes back to Latin America very fast. We have a lot of people traveling,
Mm-hmm.
to these places. So eventually it comes back to Guatemala or to Latin America, I'm sorry, very fast. And I think that we have been in Latin America advancing a lot. Um, uh, I think technology has done a great work on this because we have all these big technology companies trying to get into the market,
Mm-hmm.
and Latin America is growing as well. So they see that there is a lot of potential in the Latin American market. So we see a lot of the technology companies always doing this effort since. Microsoft or Google or any of the other companies started doing this. Today, Latin America is seen as one of the important markets to be in and to develop. So I think that besides that, there is still a lot of confusion about what CX is. There's a lot of confusion
Okay.
between customer experience management and experience marketing. That's one of the main confusions, and also about what it takes to really get results from a CX practice. There's a lot of confusion, and we also see that many companies think that just by implementing a survey or implementing NPS, that's all about listening to the customer. And it's not like that. We have been trying to teach and to get people to understand that a customer centric strategy is actually for differentiation, and that you really need to today, with the power of the consumer, you need to really have a customer centric strategy on place, even if you have it together with a product centric strategy. But it's usually you need to have a combination of different strategies, but the customer centric strategy needs to be in place because the power that technology has given the consumer. So this is something that you have to realize as a company. Guatemala is not different than any other Latin American country. We are the biggest country, the biggest economy in Central America, and I would say we're in the top 10 of Latin America, even maybe
I
the
didn't.
top 6 in
I
Latin America.
I didn't realize that Guatemala was the largest Central American economy. That shows my ignorance coming into this episode. There were some others that I might have put ahead of it, and so that right there is an interesting a little nugget. So yeah, with that power of the economy, I imagine customer experience, as you were starting to say, has some influence there.
Yes, yes. And I think that in Latin America, we're usually very, I don't know if you say it, serviceable. I like we like to give service. We're very social, so we like to treat people well, we like to eat, we like to dance. So I think we are very social people. We live with our families until we were 35 or something like that. So we like parties, we like socialization, and I think that's part of also giving service.
That makes
So
sense.
I think it has been CX in Latin America has been developing very fast. We have universities teaching CX courses. We have independent companies also giving certifications and all this. And I think that is very positive, but we also have to be very careful about where the information is coming from. You know,
Mhm.
service focused companies or service consultants. These companies used to be focused on service. And then all of a sudden CX started gaining ground, and then they changed their names to CX, but they're also still very focused on customer service and not
Right.
not the program, the CX program as a whole. And then now all the CX companies are changing to employee experience. Everybody just changes the name as the names are being more popular or less popular.
This is your captain speaking. I want to thank you for listening to CX Passport today. We've now reached our cruising altitude, so I'll turn that seatbelt sign off. While you're getting comfortable, hit that follow or subscribe button on your favorite podcast app so you'll never miss an episode. Love it if you'd tell a friend about CX Passport, leave a review so others can discover the show as well. Now, sit back and enjoy the rest of the episode.
Let me ask you a question about that service theme that you brought in there, because it actually reminds me of something that you had told me earlier, that you had once worked for a company to help improve the physical in-store customer experience, the physical, the audio, even the scent. Those are elements that often get overlooked for other elements like digital and service. And that's not to say that digital and service aren't important. Those are clearly important customer experience elements. They're just not the only ones. Would you tell me more about that company and the focus on the physical experience? We don't hear enough about that. How were you able to improve business results through that focus on physical experience?
Well, actually, it was the same company. This
Oh,
PercepcionesCX. It was the same company when we started. We started offering the customer satisfaction measurement and the mystery shopping services, and then I came across this company that was providing these multi-sensorial tools to improve the customer experience, mainly in retail.
hmm,
So I was very impressed about that, and how you can really affect the emotions of people in any place, and make them more open to buy, or to interact better, or to engage better, through these tools. Also, when you have a smell, you also kind of influences your memory, and you
hmm,
have more stronger memories, and this is something that it has been analyzed in customer behavior, and and
right.
anatomy, and the science has investigated this a lot, and many companies are doing this. Abercrombie and Fitch, that was one of the
Oh yeah,
originals, that included
yeah.
this
As soon
this
as you walked in that
particular
door,
smell,
yes,
and not even going into the store. You
right,
come into the mall,
yeah.
and then you kind of smell something and say, oh, there has to be an Abercrombie and Fitch here.
I have to admit here that I may or may not have been a wearer of that cologne in the 90s, but we'll just not go open those records of my history.
But I think that yes, this is more focused on the experience marketing side. It's not. But what we were trying to do is just try these tools and see, through the customer satisfaction measurement, see if they were valuable or not, if they were helping to increase sales, to increase traffic, to increase memorable experiences.
Yeah.
But it is purely more related to experience marketing than to CX management programs.
Okay. And that I get, I will be somewhat. Listeners have heard me say that sometimes I the labels to me can be somewhat fluid because ultimately, what are you doing? You're trying to do better by the customer in order to improve business results. And what you were describing there is a way to that physical in-store experience helps improve the overall experience, which then improves the tangible business results. I want to take a complete experience turn here, right? I'm just going to completely curve on you here. I haven't been to Guatemala. I've been around it. I've done Costa Rica. I've been to other, well, actually, way further south, Brazil, Mexico, other areas, Honduras, but never Guatemala. And it's only a 3.5 hour flight for me. So I really have to get that bumped up my travel list. It's not CX related, but would you tell me more about traveling there? And along with kind of the signature, the best things that every travel guide would tell you, what are those places, restaurants, unique experience that a local like you would tell someone like me?
Well, let me start by saying that I was born in Costa Rica because my
Ah,
my father worked
you're a
30
Tico.
years. Yes, my father worked 30 years for Shell Oil. So he got transferred to Costa Rica, and I don't know, they probably didn't have a TV, and me and my older brother were born there
Okay.
in Costa Rica. So
I get the joke there. That was
actually,
subtle.
actually, we never I never went back until I was like in my 20s,
Okay.
and I came to Guatemala before my first year. So I mean, I never lived in Costa Rica. I only have the passport. But I would say that Guatemala is Costa Rica is very famous for the traveling,
Hmm,
for the hospitality, and they have very nice beaches,
hmm.
and they have a very well developed tourism, programs. But Guatemala is impressive. Guatemala, we have three main, tourist attractions that you have to visit sometime in your life. First, we have the Antigua Guatemala, which is a colonial city that used
Okay.
to be the capital of Guatemala, but also of the whole Central America. When the Spaniards came, it was actually the whole region that they had established as the Guatemala. And Antigua has preserved, their colonial style. You cannot put any signs or
Okay.
any design anything architecturally that is not colonial. So it's one of those colonial cities in Latin America that you have to visit, and it is full of small boutique hotels. And actually, my sister has one that is very, it's called Mestizo,
Okay.
and they have done a wonderful job there with the boutique hotel. But it's impressive, all these little hotels that you have there, and even you can now rent Airbnbs and everything, and it's just such a calm town, and you have it full of little restaurants, very good restaurants, and it's
Speaking
just
to
as
me here. I
oh,
love
it's
eating.
an amazing city that has a lot of
Yeah.
combination, between gourmet, between colonial, and also you can also interact with the traditional indigenous communities that are still living there and are selling a lot of things, a lot of textiles, and it's impressive what they still do.
Okay.
So Antigua Guatemala is a have to place that you have to visit in your life. Then we have Atitlan, which you can see this
I wondered what that was behind you.
this
Okay.
picture behind me. It's a picture of a painting from a small town in Atitlan, and you can see the volcano there and also the lake. And this lake is surrounded by different volcanoes, and you can see this
Oh, cool.
when it's a clear weather. I mean, it's just impressive. The blue
Yeah.
of the lake and the volcanoes, so high. So it's one of the most beautiful lakes in the world, and it's not very far away from the
Okay.
city. So that's another very incredible place, and there are different towns along the lake that you can visit, and a lot of tourists go to these little towns, and they live in these hotels, but they're very rustic, but they're
Mhm.
very good. And actually the view is what takes everything. It's what makes the great
You can stay
experience.
as
Yes.
rustic as you want as long as you got a good view. Boy,
Yes, I
I
mean it's
believe in that for
comfortable,
sure.
but the view is just you're immersed
Yeah.
in nature, and it's just impressive. And then the third one, which is not less impressive, is Tikal, which is one of the largest Mayan cities that existed in the region. And you have these impressive buildings from the Mayan culture. That it's just impressive how they built them. Uh,
Nice.
Maybe the same or more impressive than the Giza.
Really?
Yes. I mean, it's really impressive. They have just found in because this is like a forest, a tropical forest, one of the largest tropical forests in the world, and they have found maybe some 5 or 10 years ago they found this huge city with one of the largest what do you call them, the largest structures of the Mayan culture inside this forest, which they have not
Cool.
uncovered at all.
Yeah.
So you can visit it, but they say it's much more bigger than Tikal, and it's one of the biggest ruins in the world. So, and you have to fly in helicopter to this place, and you can start seeing what they're doing. But it's Tikal, and the whole tropical forest there is just impressive what to see and experience. So those are the three main attractions in Guatemala.
Enrique, I already now, I'm not exaggerating. I'm sitting here thinking about, okay, when can I actually book a flight? Like I'm intrigued by it. I definitely want to get the link to your sister's hotel in the show notes here. Off air, you can tell me some of the good restaurants to check out, because Guatemala is definitely bumping up my list. That the volcano one especially really caught me. I would love to be on that lake surrounded by volcanoes. When we travel, especially if it's longer than a 3.5 hour flight, it is nice to stop off in a lounge. There are some great global lounges. Today, you're going to get a chance to be a part of the first class lounge here in CX Passport. We'll move quickly here and have a little bit of fun. What is a dream travel location from your past?
Okay, so I haven't not traveled too much. I have traveled a lot to the US
Hmm.
and also Central America and maybe Mexico, very close by. I haven't been to Europe yet. But I would say I had the opportunity to visit. I like beaches. I
Hmm.
like I like the ocean. So I went to the Dutch islands of the coast of South America, and I think Aruba and Bonaire are
Nice.
amazing, are just amazing. Bonaire is a little bit more rustic, it's
Hmm.
smaller, but Aruba, the beaches and the whole development, the tourist development that is over there is just
Ooh.
incredible. So I love that. I think
Good.
that's the best place I've been.
Good call on Aruba. I need to get there. I haven't had the chance to hit that island yet, but the problem with this darn little first class lounge, it just makes me want to go places. And unfortunately, I actually have to do work, so I got to figure out a way to to blend the work and the travel here. What about a dream travel location you've not been to yet?
Well, as I said, I haven't been to Europe, and I am a very avid and fanatic soccer fan. So visiting the stadiums over there is a plus. But what I would really like to do, I also like to eat. I like to have wine, and
Uh
so
huh.
my dream vacation would be just going through Italy,
Oh
Spain, and
yeah,
France,
nice.
and going to the small towns and trying different wines, and eating some good food. That would be just incredible. With
Oh,
a lot of time also, because you cannot be
slow.
rushed.
That's
Yes,
right.
slow.
There's something about Tuscany that is just slow travel inspiration. Absolutely. You mentioned food. What is a favorite thing of yours to eat?
Well, we like to eat a lot of meat. We
Hmm.
have very incredible meat. When you come to Guatemala, you're going to try the meat and you're going to see the difference. And we like to do, like cookouts,
Hmm.
and I like that. I like meat, and maybe have some vegetables on the grill, and that just over some wine or some beers, I love that.
Oh boy, I'm a fan. I like that category. Just what's favorite thing to eat? Meat and grilled vegetables. Sounds good to
Yes,
me.
yes.
The other direction, though, what is something growing up you were forced to eat but you hated as a kid?
I was trying to think about that, and I cannot think about anything that my
All
parents
right.
forced me to eat. But they were very conservative. I haven't eaten liver or some brains or something
Right.
like that. I haven't had. There are some criadillas which are I don't know if you know what they are, but
I don't.
they're bulls. I don't know if we can say
Oh,
testicles.
yeah, Rocky Mountain oysters for us here in the
Yeah,
U.S.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I also like seafood a lot.
Yeah.
I like seafood a lot.
Okay.
So
So you have the real oysters, not the Rocky Mountain oyster. I can understand
yeah,
that that approach.
yeah.
Well, Enrique, it is time for us to leave the lounge. What is one travel item, not including your phone, not including your passport, that you will not leave home without?
That was a great question, Rick. I love that question. And after thinking about it, I cannot leave my home and travel without this small rosary that I bought in Mexico.
Hmm.
Uh, I am a believer. I'm not that religious. I like to go to mass, but I have this rosary that I bought in Mexico in the Guadalupe church there, and it's made out of rose petals, the beads. So
Hmm.
I have it there in my night desk, and I usually carry it with me when I'm traveling out of Guatemala or in Guatemala as well, just to protect me. So I like to take that.
Enrique, I find that answer very special. It also reminds me there was a former guest. She was from Spain. Forgive me if listeners, if I get the name wrong, but it was Silvana Buljan, I believe,
Yeah, from
and
Spain.
she had a similar answer about rosary, and it's just kind of special, the tranquility, the peace that faith can provide when you're traveling, and the protection that you're seeking while you're traveling. I really do. I appreciate and enjoy that answer. What I don't appreciate is the passing of time. Unfortunately, my gosh, we have had such a healthy conversation that we're running out of time here. But there's a question that I'm inspired to ask based off of something you said earlier. And you were talking about technology. And I think it was when you were talking about, surveys are not the only or even the way to get the voice of the customer. And the reality is, I know you've done a lot of work with experience management tools. And CX Passport Conversations have done this several times, but I want to get your perspective on, the tool is not the end result. The technology implementation is not the goal. The survey is not the goal. The goal is tangible business results. So how are you helping companies get to those actual tangible business results?
I totally agree. Technology is an enabler, and now more than ever, we have so many technology, that it's almost impossible to have everything on board. And there is a big push to what is the digital transformation. And usually the IT areas are pushing for this digital transformation, but they have to understand that it has to start with the customer. Like Steve Jobs said, you cannot start with the technology, you have to start with the customer. So these CX efforts are going to help IT departments to understand the needs better and to implement the best technology for the customers. So that's very important. We I used to investigate a lot about technology, especially during pandemic, where all the consulting and the speaking engagements and everything were down. I investigated a lot about different survey platforms, but CX platforms, and there's some that are specialized in small businesses, others specialized in B2B, others are the ones that are for everybody, and so are so big and so strong that they're recognized as the leaders. But I think that in the end, it's still technology, and we're going to be seeing much more of technology all over, and big companies pushing this so that they can sell it to everybody in the world,
Right.
become the Microsoft. And you need to become a leader. I think that you need to implement a strategy, a CX strategy. I think that's one of the most important things. And that strategy has to include the governance model, that how are you going to manage this strategy and make the strategy come true. So the strategy part is also important because that's how you get everybody on board, including the top level. If they find it that this has to be a strategy, a corporate part of the corporate strategy, then it's going to be for everybody in the company to do. And then the other part that we work with is just getting the organization involved, in the project. I don't believe that the CX team has to do everything, because we always put so much pressure on the CX team. And what we have to do is the CX team has to make sure that everybody is on board in this, and that everybody, works on their part. If you have the technology to capture data, and then you can analyze it fast, and then you have to democratize the data to make it go to the people that can make the changes and are the experts in the changes. The people that deal with the consumers directly, especially, they have to have the empowerment to be able to make change.
Yeah.
You're not going to come and impose the change on them, because they're not going to believe, and they're not going to work with you most of the time, because they are the experts. They know what the customer is seeing. They talk to the customer all the time. So those are the two most important aspects of a CX program. I think it's getting the strategy correct, and develop a good strategy, and then getting everybody on board by getting them the data that they need and allowing them to act, because acting is the most important thing.
We're stopping right there. That is the strategy and the buy-in. And I heard you kind of snuck inside of strategy the how it gets done too. So the process and execution as well. And that's it. That's how you get to tangible business results. It's not the tool, it's the actual change, it's the strategy, it's the execution of it. Enrique, been a fun conversation today. If folks wanted to get to know a little bit more about you, your approach to customer experience, about CX, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, through LinkedIn. I'm in LinkedIn, and we're working on our website right now, but percepcionescx.com, and my email is saenz at percepcionescx.com. But in LinkedIn, you can find me. I want to say that this is also very important, something that I think about all the time, but I am not the expert in CX. I'm still learning. I'm learning from the technology. I'm learning from Bain and Company. I'm learning from the CXPA. And I think for anybody to come and say this is my strategy or my theory or my model, they have to have a very big baggage of experiences and of work that they have done. The
Yes.
best CX advisors are going to tell you where their information got from. Who is
Hmm.
the owner of the theory, which in my case I believe that it's in the NPS it's Bain and Company.
Yeah.
So we have to be very very clear about
Yeah.
where our theory is coming from and what we preach, because nobody is reinventing the sugar water. That's what we say.
Well, one of the things that I appreciate that, and you're saying a phrase that's similar to one that I've said in a different way, and that is the moment that someone declares themselves to be an expert is the moment that you know they aren't, because they are then saying that they don't need to learn anything. They don't need to learn anything new. And so I appreciate your point about the fact that, look, there's a lot out there. And if someone is not admitting, hey, look, I'm learning, and these are the sources from where I'm learning that information, they are not the experts. So with that, listeners and viewers, you definitely want to connect to somebody like Enrique Saenz and get his perspective, because it's been one that I have enjoyed today. I've enjoyed not only the customer experience, the origin stories that you were describing, how you got into it, the tales of Guatemala that have me very, very intrigued, and then the path to tangible business results, which is so vital. Enrique, it has been a delightful conversation. Thank you for
Thank
being
you,
on
Rick,
CX Passport.
as well. Thank you for the invitation.
Thanks for joining us this week on CX Passport. If you like today's episode, I have 3 quick next steps for you. Click subscribe on the CX Passport YouTube channel or your favorite podcast app. Next, leave a comment below the video or a review in your favorite podcast app so others can find and enjoy CX Passport too. Then head over to cxpassport.com for show notes and resources that can help you create tangible business results by delivering great customer experience. Until next time, I'm Rick Denton, and I believe the best meals are served outside and require a passport.